Good morning, dear students. Welcome to the first class of psychology. Today we will be discussing chapter number 1, that is what is psychology. That is your NCERT book, which I am referring as the resource, and the PPT will be given to you for whatever the topics we are covering every single day. So you have not used the word psychology as in your subject orientations because it was not part of your subject since your KG till your 10th. So this is a new branch for you, so it will be challenging, it will be difficult for you to grab things up, but on the other hand it's not impossible. So let's just discuss what are the chapter contents, how we are going to cover it. So proceeding further, so after reading and going through this particular chapter, we will be able to understand the nature and role of psychology in understanding mind and behavior, basically the relationship between mind and behavior. We will be able to state the growth and the disciplines. We will be able to know the fields of psychology and the relationship with other disciplines and professions also, and will appreciate the value of psychology in everyday life, how psychology is related to us in everyday life and everyday practices. So what exactly is psychology? So psychology is the scientific study of behavior and mental processes. So the change in behavior is basically being observed in psychology. What are the behavioral patterns that are followed? What are the causes of the changes in behavior? What are the reasons for the change in behavior? And how the mental processes work? What are the reasons that a particular person has certain mental processes? How every individual is different from each other, and how they are actually connected with each other, with their responses, with their respective nature and the nurture context. So basically, defining psychology, we don't have a specified definition that is given, but it is one of the scientific disciplines, we can say, and it deals with the processes that are underlying human behavior and experiences. So this is one of the things that we have to keep in mind. There is no single definition that is given for psychology. But what we have to keep in mind is basically psychology is derived from two Greek words. Psych means soul, and logos, which means the science or the study of a subject. This is actually the dissection of the particular word psychology. So the range of phenomena is basically studying that, like I have mentioned earlier, it is studying about the human experiences, behavior, changes in mental processes, etc. It can be the study of group, individual, society. It can be anything. The social context is very important in psychology, because psychology cannot run without the concept of sociological perspective inside it. So psychology is defined formally as what? As a science which studies mental processes, experiences and behavior in different contexts. This is the definition of psychology which is given by the NCERT, and we follow it as one of the definitions that we have learned. Now the particular definition has divided into three terms. So firstly, we will be focusing upon mental processes, then we will be keeping in mind about the experiences, then we will be focusing about what is behavior. So when we say the experiences are internal, or the person is experiencing different kinds of changes, then they refer the state of consciousness or awareness, or we can say the mental process. So we use our mental processes when we think, or we try, or we solve a problem, and to know or to remember something. So one of the level at which these mental processes are reflected is all the brain activities that we are witnessing, that are actually the changes. And as we think and we solve different kinds of mathematical problems, our brain activities can be observed using different types of techniques and brain images, that is to be in the neurosciences we are talking about. So however, we cannot say that the brain activities and the mental processes are same, although they are interdependent with each other. Proceeding further to the perspective of how mind and brain are different from each other. So mind is the activity, while as brain is the part of the body. This is the initial difference where we should be understanding this. So if we need to explain the perspective of experience, So psychology and the psychologists also study what are experiences of person. So experiences are basically subjective in nature, that is the one point, and we cannot directly observe or know someone else's experience in a shorter duration. It's basically the study or the observation techniques which we use. So only the experiencing person can be aware or be conscious of his or her experiences, and later on they can be just observed and the data can be collected with the help of interview and different types of test and tools if we want to. So the second is experience that we are talking about, and the psychological pain felt in different types of experiences in life can be positive, can be romantic. For example, if I say the romantic experiences that every individual has is different from basically each other. So there are some exotic experiences also, and where we attract attentions and the attention seeking. For example, we have to visit a psychologist, and if we have some issues or behavioral issues, and when we have yogi and meditations with the level of consciousness, here we are particularly trying to balance our experience in such a way that we are able to relate and make balance with our life. So here we can state one statement that experiences are influenced by external and internal conditions of the experiencer. Okay, so it's actually how the individual is experiencing a particular situation. It can be different from me, it can be different from you also. So behaviors, the third perspective we will be covering in the definition of psychology is behavior. So behavioral responses or reactions we make our activities and we engage in when something is hurled at us, and our eyes are blink in that point of time as a reflex action, or a pen is thrown in front of you near your eyes, so automatically your reflex action will be covering your hand. You can try that at home also, that if something is coming directly to your face, or something is thrown to your face, automatically your hands just come in front of your face to save yourself. This is what your reflex action. So we are talking about examining our feelings. So at that particular point of time, you will feel that your heart is pounding up, you're beating up faster. Why? Because at that particular time, that particular duration, it became complex from simple. You were not just sitting over there, but you had an experience where the external forces affected your behavior and your internal also get affected. Okay, so mental processes are basically trying to solve your problems and remembering things, and where brain and mind come to the role play. When experiences, it can be about your conscious experiences when you are aware of them, and whereas it can be both internal and external, and whereas behavior is something which is complex and simple both in nature. It can be for a shorter duration, for a longer duration, and it can also be the causes can be both internal or external. Okay, proceeding further for the next topic. The next topic, as I said, will be the perspectives. So the first perspective we will be keeping in mind is the biological perspective. So it's basically the scientific study of the biology and the basis of human behavior and mental state, that is very closely related to the neurosciences. So why that particular change happens, how that particular change is affecting your biology, is also part of psychology. So here biological perspective is to be considered and observed. The psychoanalytical perspective, which was given by Sigmund Freud, where how ego and superego is affecting your behavior and your interpersonal relationships, and how your interpersonal relationships and different kind of things are affecting people, and how the behavior can be treated when the person is suffering from mental illnesses, is basically your psychoanalytical approach given by Sigmund Freud. Now coming to behavioral perspective of psychology, it focuses upon the learned behavior in today's world. The behavioral perspective is still concerned and how the behavior are learned and reinforced. Now what exactly is the meaning of being learned or being reinforced? So being learned is something which we have learned through the experiences, and reinforced is something that is taught to us, like positive and negative reinforcement. That particular situation that gets you to a particular outcome, and you learn something out of it. It gives you a behavioral perspective. And when it concerns about how the behavioral perspective or how we have learned the particular thing, this is the perspective of the psychological aspect. So, proceeding further, John Watson, the founder of behaviorism in early 90s, he basically focuses upon how emphasizes what the scientific study of observable behavior, and